Okay, let's call this meeting to order. Let's talk about item 1.
All right, item 1, I know you haven't seen this before. It's 883 North State. It's a rezone of this property, which is currently in the C2 and C3 zones. This is its location. This is what it's currently zoned. You can see how C3 kind of goes over to the west and C3 kind of goes to the east. So we're going to cut those both off. And this would be the proposed zoning with the 4 lots instead of 2.
We see right there. So Sam, when they had the original concept, they had an access between somewhere down. Now they moved it over here. Are you okay with that, or do we need to have them do more something like here?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Because they have the driveway, everything there here. That's what they were.
So this is there's nothing tying the concept plan to.
This is just a concept, so the site plan will have to come back to the city, right? And approve it. But do we want to let them know that that was what they originally showed somewhere here, right?
Yeah.
So do you want to have them show this coming down?
Here's the thing too, I mean, how, in looking at it, Paul made some comments too.
We need to probably keep that door open.
Paul made some comments too about the State Street Median project. And
It won't stay.
so with the State Street Median project, do we want them to show the medians being installed, even though it's a UDOT project on a UDOT facility?
They haven't been approved yet, have they?
What's that?
The median?
The medians?
They're still working with these guys?
Well,
As far as going further?
Yeah, and that's the thing is the UDOT held off on that phase of the project because of what was going on across the street. But yeah, I would
I
think
guess the
that,
question, we probably just want to have maybe some type of, I don't know, stipulation that there needs to be a better access, just so they know. I mean, it doesn't have anything to do with the rezone, but it does have to do with the site plan when this comes in. They either punch it here or they need to read, because originally the parking lot came out and was able to punch through it. So I don't know if we want to put that as just a comment. The site plan will have to at least address access going south. And this is probably not the one they have showing to the west. It's probably
no,
right
build
central.
that building.
Well, assuming it gets redeveloped, it's still going to be, you know, this whole area is not going to have some direct access.
It's going to be in the middle of a building, no matter where it is.
So I guess maybe to Gary, we'll have to defer. Is there some wording we could do with the approval that just says, hey, by the way, site plan, you need to address access to the south?
Yeah, you can do that as part of a rezoning ordinance. You can have, you have different parts to an ordinance, and one can be an uncodified portion that says in the the site plan approval process, you need to deal with something. The problem with doing that is if it's uncodified, people forget that it's there.
So let's say the council rezones this, we could bring it up at council meeting as well.
Yes.
But they rezone it, comes back to site plan, and Sam says, no, we need an access over here. Is that something we can then follow through and just basically require that to be stubbed into that south property?
Well, at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, it's going to be whatever the ordinance requirements are in place. So that's why I prefer to put something in a rezone ordinance. So when the council formally acts, they can put in a requirement that
In the ordinance itself.
in the ordinance itself, in a rezone is just going to be a change of the map. But, an ordinance will have several different parts, and part one would, you have your whereases, then you can have part one saying, okay, we're amending the map as described in Exhibit A, and then you can have a part two that says as a part of their rezone, their project plan, whenever they come in to do something, they have to provide access meaningful access or something
As long
like
as it's in
that.
the ordinance, we're okay. Not,
Yeah, and now we've got, it's not every ordinance that the council passes has to be in the ordinance book. And there you can have some uncodified things, especially if it's in a situation like this.
so not ordinance as in codified, but ordinance as in a document that they sign agreeing to reason.
Well, ordinance that the council passes, and then they vote on it, and that gets put in there. So the best way to do it would probably, if they're not willing to do a development agreement with the rezone, because that's when you have the greatest amount of
Leverage.
leverage. Yeah.
Well, part of our discussion with the planning commission could be to, would recommend a development agreement.
Could they, that they could recommend a development agreement, or that they recommend in the ordinance passing
That is
the rezone, that they put in a part 2 that says in this ordinance, now you've got to, or you put an ordinance in, or a line in the ordinance that the council passes that says you need to develop a secondary access to the south, or provide an area where you can have a cross easement or something like that.
Or come up with a concept. Well, that in addition to maybe revising the concept before it actually gets to the council, showing that where they're going to put it. I guess I just wanted to bring it up to Sam to make sure that's not acceptable. We need to have something over here. Is that fair?
Yeah, because it'd be hard to see too. I mean, it'd be nice to show the parcel lines too on the south there to see where does that.
On the
where
black,
is that gonna be
yeah, the
at.
black line is it's thick, but that is the parcel.
But I mean, all the properties to the south, where does it seem to make sense? With
Oh,
all
I see.
those individual all along through there.
You got one there, one there, and one there.
And one more.
And of course,
And then there.
okay. Anyway. Sorry. Keep on.
No, that's what we're here for.
And that'll be the hard part.
So that's the actual concept plan.
How that develops.
Mhm.
And in addition to this, because they're putting in that Women and Children in Crisis Center, that is not an allowed use in the C3 zone where it will be located. So we're also amending the SLU code 1283 to make it a permitted use in the C3 zone to have transitional treatment homes. Street view, and then,
Can we go back a couple slides to
Yeah.
just that other site plan? So
Oh,
go
this
back-
one?
Yeah, where are they? See, that plan doesn't show where they're showing a connection.
It's
Well, it just
down in the
says
bottom
right-
corner.
Right there. So what basically I'm saying from this to here is where this property could eventually tie in.
They have to actually, it's gonna be more than a note, because even on Monteval up top, they physically built that
Yeah, there's stuff.
so you can see where it's at.
It
This
looks like these guys are connecting
right.
into that.
That's because they built that connection. So they're gonna have to show a connection, not just a note.
It seems like in DRC we talked about, well, whatever the meeting's called, just widen this out and just have a full access.
Or it comes down along the other side there and on the east side of that transitional care facility
Up here.
or east side.
The east, between
Yeah,
that
right
and the
there.
village church.
Like, but they just gotta show physically where there's,
They could probably shift this over, whole detention basin. The only issue with Quick Quack is they typically have a one-way after this point. So there's.
so I think it's, and I get why they don't want to have it there, but it's gotta be, they just gotta physically show where it's gonna be and build it. And I think the other thing too, going on I think when it goes to PC, I would recommend that you guys also show them where the other C3 zones are
Mhm.
and where this is gonna be at, because they always ask where are the other C3 zones, and if there's only one other one, then we're allowing this transitional care. It could be
across
these
the
other
street.
zones, so you might want to have that for that text amendment. Also show a map where those other C3 zones are.
Okay.
And how it will affect, because we're adding.
Yeah, I mean, it's minimal. It's this center and then the Pinehurst, and that's pretty much it. So, oh yeah, we can. Any other questions? This is just the rezone. It'll come back for site plan for any of the 3 sites, and then obviously the Women's and Children's will come back as a separate site plan as well. So just the rezone. comments, motion?
So do we have to amend our motion or do we just follow the same motion?
So we'll contact them to make sure that they either come up with that or we'll add it into the ordinance as part of, and then bring it up also with the city council and the planning commission as well, if they want to recommend a
Development agreement.
agreement, or if we just want to add it into the ordinance, we could do that. But there definitely needs to be some type of physical access to the south between the middle portion of the block, not the west end of that.
So do we need to state that in this motion?
Gary, what's your opinion?
I don't think we do. I think we can just make a motion to move this on as is, and that you're going to be talking to them about some possible issues or ways of taking care of things that doesn't need to be in this motion.
There's someone willing to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the Development Review Committee approves amending Article 22-5-3A in the zoning map of the city of Warren by rezoning portions of the property located generally at 883 North State Street to either the C2 zone or C3 zone, and to allow SRU code 1283 transitional treatment homes as a permitted use in the C3 zone.
Okay, I'll second that motion. So motion and second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, item 2.
Item 2 needs to have another neighborhood meeting or a neighborhood meeting, so we'll have to continue this.
So the Ranchito side of 426 East, 1070
Is this the house?
house that they paved in the back. We'll continue that to have them hold that neighborhood meeting. So I'll make a motion that we continue that item until a meeting that's not defined at this point, once they're ready to do it. Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, meeting minutes for the May 22nd meeting. Any questions on that? Entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll motion to approve the minutes from May 22nd, 2023.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any other thing that you brought up? Okay, I'll make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion, or the meeting's adjourned till June 5th. Thanks, everyone.